Welcome to Echoes of the Old Ways, a journey back through ancient paths and timeless wisdom. In each episode, we gather to honor the voices of pagan elders who guide us with stories and wisdom passed down through centuries. We walk in the footsteps of those who came before us, drawing on their strength and insight. Together, we explore sacred rituals, celebrate life cycles, and reconnect with the wisdom of the earth. Each episode opens a door to ancient practices and beliefs that remind us of our place in the natural world. We call upon the spirit of our ancestors, those who nurtured and guided, whose voices resonate across time, and whose wisdom lives on within us and the land. Through Echoes of the Old Ways, we invite you to reconnect with ancient knowledge, with nature's rhythms, and with the deep wisdom shared among the earth and her children. Join us, your hosts, as we rekindle the flame of tradition, nurturing the bond between the earth and her children. Welcome to Echoes of the Old Ways. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Echoes of the Old Ways. This is Jim.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jim. This is Davron.
I'm Gwen.
It's good to see everybody. So, what have y'all been up to?
Just praying for those in California right now, primarily, and still for those suffering from some of the other recent disasters and attacks that we've had in New Orleans and hurricanes that hit western North Carolina, and primarily really concerned about our friends out there in California and the tremendous damage that's been done, the destruction of the Theosophical Society. It's been a rough couple of weeks.
That library was outstanding. I
never got the chance to be there.
I was in it. I took a look at what happened to Sunset Boulevard, and I was like floored because Ace and I had a little motel that had been refurbished by an Indian family with a beautiful courtyard, an old motel, mind you.
One of those old ones, yeah.
Yeah, refurbished with a courtyard with a pool in the middle. We used to always stay at, and it's stunning. Also the friends and client or customers, people who I don't think of them as customers. I think of them as my friends.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of them for years, and I have an attorney out there. I'm like, wow, dude, So yeah, and it's ongoing in Western North Carolina. People have no place to stay, and it's winter, and it's heartbreaking. And have you noticed since the election how the series of catastrophes just keeps on coming?
Right.
They certainly do.
Yeah, and whether or not they will be handled well remains to be seen. I know that finger pointing certainly doesn't help people find shelter. And
how can you not?
Yeah.
It's like, how can you take money away from? I have a firefighting family. My nephew's a firefighter here in South Florida. So I'm real, touchy on that. And it's like, how can you take anything in Southern California with those Santa Anas? I don't know if you all have ever experienced them. Maybe Rick has. Warm, hot wind that comes really, people, it's almost like little teeny hurricanes that come through. It's
heartbreaking. And I think of when we have these disasters, I always think of why can't we turn land management over to the indigenous people?
absolutely
Who are wise in that department.
They would have had break fires that would have taken care of how the firefighters would be able to contain this more readily. That's already absolutely on the table. We know that. Environmentalists know that. A lot of firefighting experts, firefighters know this and turn to Indigenous people for guidance and strategy. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I hope our guests can tell us how it's going down under.
I'm sure. And, of course, Australia, dealt with that. I know myself, I remember making lots of tea tree oil soap to donate, for the poor little koala bears when they had their fires there. And, it's unfortunately a global occurrence at this point where, we're fighting back against climate change.
And the sad part is it's only going to get worse.
But coming up with constructive ways as a community to push back and deal and circle the wagons and, be in a better place, how we get to that part of protection and change, amidst the crazy politics of it all. But,
right.
I saw a clip on Ever Lovable TikTok of Governor Newsom with NBC or something, and he said that he sent a letter to the troll in chief. All he does is troll him, which is unfortunate. That's not leadership. We just don't have any leadership now,
Yeah, and hopefully we find leadership on the grassroots level.
Yes,
that's where it's needed.
Well, California, Cali is the 4th largest economy in the world.
Definitely.
If I were the president of the United States, I wouldn't fuck with him. You follow me, boys?
Right.
That's what I like. You follow the money, honey.
Right. So we do have a great guest today from Down Under. A little different season and time down there. It's always fascinating when you think of the Wheel of the Year being reversed. At least I find it to be absolutely fascinating.
It confuses me.
Right. And it doesn't correspond to traditional secular holidays. So that has to be more interesting. Celebrating the Wheel of the Year, but it's, Christmas time as well. So that's been quite interesting. But tonight we have a special guest with us, Tamara von Forsloon, who is also known as the Witch of Oz. And she is a revered pagan elder with over 50 years of dedication to Wicca and witchcraft. She is the high priestess and elder of the clan of Buscaden there in Australia and as well as worldwide, and founder of Australia's first legal neo-pagan church, the Church of Wicca. Ordained by the Fellowship of Isis, and of course she is an accomplished author, teacher, and advocate for the modern craft. So without further ado, we will bring her on. Welcome, Tamara.
Blessed be everyone.
Blessed be.
And send a bit of your cold weather down to me, will you? Because it's starting to get warm down here.
We've got plenty here in New York. I'll send you some.
That is the thing that I always try to wrap my brain around. I have some friends there, and it's Christmas time, but it's also warm. So, and celebrating, the Wheel of the Year, a little differently. So it's fascinating.
Well, we always have to have a balance, and while you're balancing the cold, we're balancing the warmth. So everything works for itself. That's why Mother Nature made it that way. If we were all celebrating winter, we'd be in an ice age.
That's true.
That is true. So welcome. You are affectionately known as the Witch of Oz, and that term was coined by Raymond Buckland,
Yes.
who many find. So Tell us a little bit about your journey in the craft and how that began for you and where that's brought you to today.
Yeah. Well, the journey was a lot different 50 years ago. There was nothing around. There was no one holding up their hands telling people, I'm a Wiccan, I'm a pagan, I'm a witch, whatever it is. Hello, Melissa, another friend of mine. Glad to see you online. I was only a teenager, but I was hungry for wanting something different. And I was lucky enough to be involved in a traditional group or get initiated into a traditional group in 1970, which was the Coven of the Acorn by a gentleman named David V, with a clan mother who was Lady Margaret de Lisle Queen from Cornwall. And from there, I just kept growing and growing. And of course, sadly, that high priest passed away and I moved on to an Alexandrian group, just wanting to understand a little bit more. And that was a little bit weird for me. I didn't understand the politics and things around it. I wanted more the natural base. But I loved Egypt. I connected with the Fellowship of Isis. Blessed be Sherry. Hello, how are you? And I went to Clonical Castle in Ireland and was ordained over there with Lady Olivia and spent a few times there, which was quite beautiful. And it's just lovely that my journey's taken me through a very eclectic path to go back to the original clan of Boskedden and the part that I was originally initiated into. And I think I had to go through all the other, I suppose, traditions and ways and that just to go back to my roots again. And I think that's quite beautiful. And even when I was running all the covens and groups and when we legalized the Church of Wicca, it was so hard because it's different to America. In America, you can get a 501 and you can register the church and have it going. Here, it took 6 years of legal battles of going in and out of courts with federal courts and that to legalize the process. And it cost a lot of money to do that, but we did it. And it was wonderful that we did do that. And I incorporated Wicca into our tradition on purpose. And that was to help bring people in and understand it. But now I've moved back more towards the traditional side of witchcraft, which is lovely. Our journey's great. I think my journey's helped me meet a lot of beautiful, wonderful people like yourselves all over the world. And I've been lucky enough to be able to travel quite a lot through my clan and through the books that I do and through my teachings. And thank you for having me here today. It's lovely to be here.
We're thrilled to have you.
What a fabulous education you've had since 19.
Oh, I'm not very educated.
What fabulous experience you've got.
Oh, that's better, yes.
I thought I was old. I thought I was. You have quite a bit. That's extraordinary to me. Since 1970. I mean, blessings. That's extraordinary.
Well, it's different. I mean, in 1970s or in the 60s, 70s, there was nothing about paganism or witchcraft or anything. Even if you went to libraries, there was nothing in the libraries. There was books on Freemasonry, Golden Dawn. There was books on other things, but there was nothing here where we could learn or educate or follow our truths or paths. And the only groups that did come up were people that couldn't find any traditional groups, so they created their own. And they linked with either Gerald Gardner or like Alexander's, and then they started creating those groups as an Alexandrian or Gardnerian group. And that's where everything stemmed from along those lines. But there was nothing very organized. And I wanted it to be organized because I was tired as a young teenager of asking questions. And every time I got asked a question, I was told, or you're not ready to know the answer to that, or you have to be second degree or 450th degree to understand that. And I thought, this is ridiculous. If I've got the common sense to ask the question, then I've got the ability to understand the answer. And that's when I started to create and found the clan and the Church of Boskedden and the Church of Wicca here in Australia.
That's awesome. And
Absolutely.
that's honest. That's how it really goes.
And we're very eclectic. We have so many people involved from all walks of life. I mean, I traveled and toured and worked with His Holiness the Dalai Lama for 11 years. helping and working with him. And I had to learn about Buddhism because I was a very undisciplined child. I couldn't do anything. I hated being told what to do. And when it came times to meditate, I didn't know how to meditate. I was fidgety and I was moving. And Buddhism taught me the discipline that I needed. Well, I think they sort of taught me, because I'm still a little bit undisciplined in many ways as well.
Well, you need to be sometimes.
I'm a bit of a rebel. I am a rebel.
I think most pagans have that rebel streak to them, and that's one of the things that draws us to the path to begin with. But it's good the way that it's good to be eclectic. It's good to study everything. I'm an omnist, and my church is an omnistic church, which we believe all things, all religious paths have some validity, and all are worthy of consideration. And at the end of the day, it's your personal beliefs and your personal practices that need to be focused on, and bringing people together in a more inclusive and less rigorously structured way. Many people fled or came to paganism from a Christian background, and here, many of the early pagan faiths made it very Christian-like, with all the rules and regulations and structures and hierarchies and things. And in today's world, I think we need to embrace a broader perspective that it allows for greater cultural and individual expression throughout your practice.
Yeah. Well, we have a hierarchy in our clan. I'm the head. I'm the mother.
Some, sure. Yeah.
I'm the mother, and I do exactly what I'm told to do by everybody else.
Exactly.
Just like every mother.
Yep.
Exactly.
At service to the family.
Right.
My children are always saying, "Yes, mother, we've listened to you. Thank you very much. Now what we're going to do is this." And I go, "Okay."
That is not an uncommon thing. That's a sign of a good leader too. That.
Well, I don't know about being a good leader, but I do as I'm told along the way, until I don't like it. If there's something that really I do not agree with, and I'm the first. I'm not scared to tell people exactly what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling at all. And much to my denigration, I mean, I get in trouble because of it all the time, and I don't care. I'm at that age now that the gods have got me on one side, and and they're going, "Come on, you're all right. I'm too old. I don't care."
Exactly. But that's also a good sign, that attitude, that you empower those who are members, and that's something that is more needed. No one's going to grow in a vacuum. No one's going to grow without being empowered to learn and to express your ideas and to take action, up to a level. You have to still have some guide rails and parameters in place, but that's how you learn. That's how you grow. Making mistakes, that'll happen, but that's all part of the process.
We've had the elders of the past, and my book, The Pagan Witch Elders of the World, Past and Present, has won awards, and it was very successful, and it was honoring and dedicating all those elders that guided me and helped me along the way. Because when I opened up the church, we were only a small group of 20 to 30 people or something. Then all of a sudden the media got in touch, and then we were hundreds of people, thousands of people from all over the country wanting to find out and come to us. And we weren't prepared, and we grew so fast that it was destructive. We grew too fast because we didn't have the teachers that were dedicated, that were relaxed and peaceful and loving and compassionate, without ego. And the thing is even when I was young, I was the most egotistical person you could meet, because you had to have it. You had to be a little bit out there and wacky, or else people weren't interested. And hopefully that wackiness is still there a little bit, but the ego is mellowed through time. But I love empowering people, even the fools. I think if we can empower the fools, then maybe they can turn around and be a better teacher. So.
Absolutely. And you always need that unexpected twist energy too. Keeps things fresh, keeps things lively, and sometimes great things come out of the action of a fool.
I just read the thing. Melissa Anderson's just said, "Looking good, Tamara." Thank you. Not bad for an old broad.
I absolutely
Not
love
bad at all.
I absolutely love Melissa. It turns out that we have a cousin in common, but we had our family hometown in common. So, of course, we get to chat once in a while.
I don't like Melissa very much at all because she keeps promising me a bottle of wine when we get together. And every time I come to America, we never seem to get together. There's always some reason or purpose. I reckon she's just holding on to that bottle of bloody wine, or she's already drunk it.
Well, you know what they say about wine is that it grows better with age. So she just wants to make sure it's at the right vintage when she gives it.
But people right now are looking for a connection with nature, which brings them to our circle often. And while youth has been fascinated by the fiction and drawn into, quote, witchcraft, the truth is that the matriarchy and the mother is needful right now to heal the planet and heal the people. And the best service, the best divinity of that has been within a pagan tradition. That's where it's been preserved. And right now, we're in dreadful need of mothering.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. I mean, that was we have classes on Sundays here with a Zoom class for the Clan Seekers class, which is worldwide. And we have a lot of students on there. And that was actually our topic on Sunday, which is basically the balance between matriarchy and patriarchy and why we're needing that matriarchal focus at this present time. More than Papa, we need Mama to be there.
Right.
And it was more about it as well. And I think that we've always got to realize, even though we're talking to Mama a lot more, that Papa's still there. And it helps us acknowledge that balance always without just bringing one more important. I think the problem with the world that when I travel, I see so much, and it's so confusing for me because women have wanted to become empowered so much that they've become emasculated. They've become masculine, butch women. And men have wanted to be in touch so much with the feminine that they've become very effeminized.
Yeah.
And it's hard to differentiate. I mean, to me, to be in touch with the goddess doesn't mean you've got to be a feminine person, or to be in touch with God, you don't have to be a masculine woman. I think you just need to find your own power and bring it into being as much as you possibly can. That's nature. You know, we don't need to change our identity or wear makeup just to make sure that we're being seen as something freakish or different or shock people. And
Right.
I think that's a scare tactics these days with solitaries. So much solitaries is a shock tactic of saying, I'm a witch.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, you know, I don't even say that very often, because to me, a witch is a lesser level. I say I'm the matriarch, I'm Mama, I'm past that level. And now I just want to help people find their truth. I don't want people to learn my truth. That's my destiny, not
That's
theirs.
exactly right.
You know, we teach our traditional ways that have been in part of our heritage for a long time, but we want people to find their own eclectic truth, their own reality, and go within themselves and awaken themselves. And I'm just there to give them a good kick in the backside to help them realize that. That's all. So,
Excellent.
and our clan is growing so fast. We actually have an online community growing now, and it's called Discord, the community for Clan of Boskedden. And I think that platform is so weird because it's a positive, loving platform of connecting, but it's called Discord. And I'm thinking, what a horrible name for a platform of spirituality. But maybe it's just me.
No, I've had the same feeling, and but it does have reminds me of sort of some of the older things, like the old Yahoo groups and e-groups before it, and One List, and some of the bulletin board. So it's got some neat features to it. I like Discord.
Yeah. I'm sure we've all experienced the ritual done through chat, you know, calling the quarters by typing them into the
Yes,
chat.
many times.
I did for years with Ra and Dav and Rick. We did the Blog Talk Radio gig and did all 8. through that, which was online with voice, but it worked.
A long way. Yeah, that's
It
come a long
worked.
way. And bringing people together that normally wouldn't be connected, you know,
Right.
is so
Yeah.
amazing.
It's,
Yeah.
it's what you want to do is to invite, to be open, to let people know that there's a place they can knock and someone will open the door and say you're welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah, the technology has really improved our ability to reach people, but
Yeah.
sometimes in those some of those early days when I was doing rituals by chat, before we had good, reliable video, we it was a different time. We had there was a lot more earnest, really involved, hardworking, true, dedicated people that were out there. Now you do get a lot of spiritual tourists that pass through, people who are looking for the shock value of saying I'm a witch, or are just interested and curious but aren't really serious. And it's harder and harder to find those who are truly committed to the craft and truly committed to doing the work necessary for that kind of spiritual evolution.
Dab, I've seen people in chats or rooms that are open, like on Facebook or whatnot. People will say, well, this is what was it, Jim? You were there, a room full of Betty wannabes or something, and here's the group that really is serious. And I said, I'd really love to have the chance to speak to, I guess your term is spiritual tourists, because they are looking, obviously, and like I said, opening the door and allowing them to hear what your experience is and to connect. Um, I think that's an incredible invitation for us as elders to pass on what we've learned and walked with for so many years. If somebody, it's like if Ted hadn't shared with me, or when we had the shop open, Raymond Buckland came and did a couple of shops with us, and he was great. And he shared. He was there to share with even the people who were, you know, let's say, suspicious of what was being related to them, you know? And those folks are important too. I think we can't forget them, because right now, it seems to me we need to pay attention. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just me. Um, and we have so many great teachers out there, like Tamara down under, and pinpointed all over the world that the opportunities for people to tap in to, being connective to our natural existence and nature itself through pagan, through Wicca, through whatever, but these elemental ways, it's just really something that's going to help us hold together, I think.
Well, it's already started, I believe. I believe it's already started. I mean, my travels, whenever I come to America, even though I do always do the Buckland Museum and I do either PSG or something like that, I've been with Hexfest and WitchCon, and I've done a couple of pagan pride festivals and things. But I think the wonderful thing is that when I'm at places like PSG or Starwood, I can actually have a small area to myself, and my clan that are in America, they can come with me, and we actually do initiations, ordinations, all these sorts of things. So I get to connect with these people that I've only been able to connect online with. And at least when I come over there, or I go to England or Europe or something like that, I can connect or reconnect with people. And that's great. I love doing that. I love just sitting down, being the mother, and just talking to everyone and having a good chin wag and sharing what their journeys are as well. I'm really interested in what they've got to tell me. So, hello, Harold. Good to see you there. Yeah, so it's just lovely. I mean, I've had the chances of meeting such a lot of beautiful, incredible people over my time, and I've been lucky enough to travel a lot. And I think it's great. I think it's great that there's so many people out there. But the reason why I wrote the eldest book is because half of those people that I classed as my friends have gone now. They've all passed on.
Yeah.
And I think that's so horrible. You know, I feel sad that I've lost everybody. And when I get a phone call saying that Ray's passed away, Raymond Buck's passed away, or that Stuart Farrar's passed away, or other people that I know, and it just really disheartens me and makes me feel sad, because once you get over 60, you've got one foot in the other side anyway. So you know, that side is pulling you, and then you've got your physical world here trying to say, no, stay, stay, stay. And you're going, well, I don't know where, I don't care where I go, as long as I'm still wherever I need to be. And that's the main thing that I love about it. But, you know, hopefully I get to meet you or you guys either at the Buckland Museum sometime or at Starwood Festival if ever you go, or PSG. It'd be lovely to see you all.
Oh, I will be sure to look for you. We've never met in person, but I've heard wonderful things about you over the years and decades. And
they've lied.
One day we'll
lied.
connect. Well, yeah, you know. You gotta take it. I took it with a grain of salt, you know. But
yeah, good. Listen to all the bad stuff, because that's real.
Exactly. Yep. You gotta know you gotta know that first. Then you can. That's very opposite of what a politician's approach is, by the way. But you know, I agree. I'm the same way. I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Well, I love it. I always hate people that gossip about things, and I always say there's only one thing worse than a gossiper, and that's the person that listens to it. And that's the funny thing about it, because the stories change so much. Me and my girlfriend, who is my number 2, and she was the high priestess of the Church of Wicca here, and she's passed away also not so long last year. And we were the best of friends, best of mates, and we were the most craziest, wacky crones you could ever come across. And she used to always tell people to bugger off. And we used to have people coming into my shop going, oh, hello, I'm one of the witches of Lady Tamara von Forsten, and I'm standing in front of them and they don't even know me.
Oh, I love that. I've had that too.
And she stands next to me and she's going, what? And I'm going, who? And they said, Tamara von Forsten. I go, oh, I hate her. I said, she's just a bloody idiot. She's just an egotistical blah, blah, blah. And he's going, how dare you talk about her like that, blah, blah, blah. And then Elizabeth next to me, she goes, listen, darling, I think you need to know who you're talking to. She said, this is Tamara. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I said, I think you need to know who you're talking to before you start saying things. So it was funny. I thought it was gorgeous. I gave him a big hug anyway, and made sure he spent a lot of money in my shop because he loved me too much.
Right, of course. One of my favorite things to do when I ran a physical pagan temple here in America, in New York, was, and we talked about empowerment earlier, I would have people run our rituals because it was part of their training, and I would hang back and act as just a general member. And, you know, the people working who knew me well were under instructions not to tell people that, you know, to just treat me normally. And I loved being anonymous in the crowd and hearing what people really thought and said, and without knowing who I was, because the minute they do, that changes everything. And then it's a whole, oh, wow, you know, Lord Davron or whatever. It's great to do that. It's a wonderful experience to have, and it's a great thing to do. I do the same in my professional life. I love wandering around. I do human resources work, and there's nothing more fun than people not knowing who you are. You get a much more realistic perspective than you do otherwise.
I'm just horrible. Murphy and we'd have those, you know, like, I love what Coriolis is doing down in our old neighborhood now. They do midnight margaritas, but we used to have coffee houses at the shop on certain Friday evenings. And Murphy and I'd sit in the back office, and people were just scared shitless to walk back there and disturb us. And we sort of fostered that, you know. We were pretty horrible and good at it too. Had a blast. It was a lot of fun. And we also got to meet and greet a lot of wonderful people who'd walk in, because they'd tell stories about, you know, oh, you can't believe what's going on there. It's a lot of fun.
It is. I love it when I get accused of cursing someone and I hear, oh, Tamara's cursed this person and they've lost their relationship and they're losing this and losing that. And when I find out who's done it, I always go and confront them. And I walk straight up to them and I said, now listen, I don't need to curse you. I said, I'm far more happier just to punch you in the mouth, knock you out. That's my form of modern witchcraft because I'm Australian. We don't stand for shit from anyone.
Right.
So
That's easier. You don't have to waste any herbs.
I don't waste any energy. I don't paying for candles, incense, oils, ritual, preparing for 6 weeks to do a certain ceremony to banish someone or block them or do this way. I just walk up to them, smack them in the mouth and say, now shut up.
Yeah.
That's modern witchcraft. It works really well.
You know, as I tell my students, you always do the mundane solution first. It's sometimes right in front of your eyes, and you don't need to do complicated rituals to do that. So you've been doing this for over 50 years, and you are a person who really, in many ways, brought modern paganism to Australia, and you got it legalized. How would you say you've seen things change over the past 50 years in your practice and studies?
Do you really want to ask me that question?
Sure.
I think that the craft is headed in 2 ways. It's heading in a bullshit realm of fantasy and new age mishmash of everything being thrown in that you don't know what reality is and what it's not. And then you've got those that are real seekers. And I had somebody not so long ago saying to me, oh, I can't do your course because I've been studying the craft for 20 years and I'm not a seeker anymore. And I'm going, well, darling, that's your problem. Once you stop pretending you're or thinking you're a seeker, then there's nothing more. I said, you'll be a seeker till the time you die. And that's what we all are. We're all seekers. We're all wanting to find truths or different forms of truths. Right. And I think that that's very important. But I think these days, with, as you said before, the world, the economy, politics, the negative vibrations, you know, we're becoming a sicker planet. Look, we're supposed to be environmentalists. We're supposed to be ecologists. And I don't think I've met a handful of people that are true ecologists in the pagan scene that can really go out there. And I think stop trying to save the world. Just save yourself first, save your family, save your own backyard, your own little world. Work on that first. And when you do that, then the healing can expand and we can all meet up like a matrix, like a web, and we can do good. If we all plan to just get out there and heal the planet as a whole, we're going to fail because the planet doesn't want to be healed at the moment. I think, you know, I think Mother Nature's just going to turn around, and if it comes between saving the planet and saving mankind, she's going to get rid of mankind and just keep the planet. I would, you know, We're parasites. We keep taking all the time, and we don't give back. And that's the one thing that I make sure that with all our people, that whatever you take from the earth, whatever you receive or get from them, give back, whatever it is, even from people. If you don't like people and they give you a smack in the mouth, then give them 3 smacks in the mouth, balance it out, whatever it is, you know, but just relax with everything. Try not to see the anger and the fear and the aggression. And I know that you've had a big political change over there in America, that things are quite worrying for a lot of people. But if the more you feed that worry, the more you feed that stress and that problem, like attracts like, and the more problems are going to happen. If you just say, well, look, that's okay, you know, it's okay. He's there, but I don't have to worry about it because the world is positive, beautiful, and radiant, and the light is going to be illuminating, and everything's going to be absolutely shining great. And I think that if we think like that without letting other people take our brains and our minds, the more we can actually create a beautiful world, a golden world. And I think that's our importance of. And I think as people that have been in the community a long time, as our teachers and things, if we can help the seekers just start realizing that to heal the world, we've got to start with healing ourselves. And we haven't done that. We're not healing ourselves because we still hold on to grudges. We still angry, or we still don't forgive ourselves or forgive other people around us. And that healing process comes from all those things first. Once we've done that, then our healing becomes, and we become the most powerful, healing, strong, empowered creatures that we can be. We become true witches. And that's all I think we need to become.
Well, that's really the
so motivating.
Tomorrow night, the wolf moon. is all about that Mars retro aspect in Leo that says, oh no, you can't. And then the wolf says, oh yes, I can. It's about releasing old grudges in the past. When we have it in Cancer like that, gee, we tend to look at the past. We don't look forward. So that's the challenge right now is like Tamara says, allow it to just let it be. I
Yeah.
mean, really, these clowns are going to screw themselves up so fast. It's not even funny anyway. Just let it be. Don't
Yeah.
worry it. Wear it. Don't.
Very much so. I mean, we focus so much on witchcraft and paganism and everything like that, that what we do is we forget to worry about the very common sense and common courtesy and common respect of everybody as individuals. Focus on that healing process first, then let the craft take care of itself. And once we've done that, I think this is going to be a much beautiful world. And we are coming closer together. The world is growing as long as we have the right people that can come together and guide people as seekers to find their truth. And I think that's wonderful. Just with a meeting like this, even though I don't know you people, the fact is that we're still linking, we're still connecting, and then you're linking out to your people and all that sort of thing. And I think that's just lovely.
Pebbles in the pond.
Right.
I'm more of a boulder myself.
Or an undersea volcano. Yeah.
Right. And we talk about, that healing process. I think there's so many things that folks have not taken the time to heal over. They stand back up and, say what's next, in this crazy world. But in order to help others, we do have to heal, and do that shadow work and dive down deep and try to repair, so that we can reach out and help others and help the planet and keep things moving. So often, I'll share, some daily spells, and I got asked, well, do you do outward, spells to influence others or events, things like that? And I say, of course I do. But I think it's more important to share that spell work that is inner alchemy, that is working on the person and working on developing that compassion and that gratitude and those tools, that we need in order to help others. So yeah, of course we do outward spells, but it's the craft to me is about that inner alchemy and becoming a better person and a better servant, to the planet and to our brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. Put your own seatbelt on first before you put your own face mask on first before trying to help others.
Right. And of course you're tempted to help your child first, but the fact that you won't be able to help them if you don't help yourself. So
that's right.
Most definitely. Tamara, we talked a little bit about some of your works, but you shared with us a video that I would like to share with everyone that is introducing one of your books. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the wide breadth of books and written works that you have out there for the community too. See if I can share the screen here. Send. And we're back. Well, that was an excellent video. Of course, that book is on the Fae. Can you tell everyone a little bit about the book and what inspired you to write that?
Well, the tradition of Boskednan is about the other world and the Fae, and the standing stones or the maidens are our portals or gateways to the other world. And we're taught from when we're young all the way through how to utilize these portals, how to open them up at certain times of the year. Modern paganism always says, oh, well, Samhain is the main time to go between the other world. Well, it's not really. Samhain is about the other world in respect to the underworld, other words, Anun. The Fae are very much there and part of everything and everything there. We hear about them in all over the world, but they're not like what most people think are sweet little nice things with little fairy wings that want to give you a fairy wing blessing and all that. They are very different in many ways. I've teamed up with one of the world's top Fae artists, and he's doing all the artwork. So my book on the Fae is not only a full guidance into Fae or finding them or researching them or learning more about them, but it's also an artwork. It's a journey of absolute beautiful art with lots of different Fae images from different elemental realms as well. And after that, we're also then bringing out later a Fae Oracle deck as well, which is going to be very much in tune. And in our tradition, our matriarchs or high priestesses are usually oracles. So we're taught to be seers and to learn that. And of course, in modern craft, they're taught once a month when the moon is full that the goddess is invoked into you and you draw down the power of the moon. And then you become the oracle and speak the words to the community and people. Well, in traditional witchcraft, that's something that's always happens no matter what we do. And that trance state is very much a lesson that we all got to learn to become connected with the Fae as much as we can. The Fae are magical and part of every process that we do. And this book is not something that I usually wanted to bring out to the public, but I thought that we need to explain to people about the Fae, especially with urbanization, about the world changing, how we're moved away from nature and all this sort of thing, and what's happening with the Fae and why are they still hiding from a lot of people? Well, look, I hide from a lot of people because I think people aren't worth it, you know, but then I'm allergic to some human beings, and yet I absolutely adore and love other human beings. It just depends where I am at the time in my life. But this book is very inspiring. It's very beautiful. And I think hopefully it helps people find the true essence of magic by working with the portals and with the energies to the Fae.
That sounds fantastic.
It's going to be a very beautiful book. It's a full page color book. The whole thing is done like a medieval textbook. That's all done with full artworks and everything. And I'm hoping to have that when I come on tour July, August of next year.
Well, fantastic. I, for one, can't wait to read it and to see the artwork.
You've got to buy it. You've got to buy it first.
Of course, I'll buy it first.
Yes, that's one sale.
Yes! Woohoo! Maybe I can get a signed copy for my collection while I'm at it.
Oh, that costs you more.
Oh, money's no object.
That costs you more because once I sign it, it's only worth $1 anyway because they drop in price.
Yeah, you know, depends. You know, when I haven't written any books yet, I'm too busy actually doing things. But when I do, I suspect my signature will decrease the value and ruin it. So you've got a great first edition here, but unfortunately, it's signed. Some idiot wrote it. Now it's worth nothing. You ruined it.
And I just I saw in the questions there, one of the viewers has just asked if my books will be on my website, and yes, they will. They'll be on my personal website, which is TamaraVonForsten.com. And also there's a lot of special books that aren't out for the public that are on our clan website, which is clanofboskednan.org. And if people want to find out more about our organization, they can go on there. We have a full Discord community where anybody can join. We've got many elders from around the world that are joining just to help guide people, because we've got hundreds of topics and sections that people can learn from and share, and that as well. Gail is asking for pre-sale. I'll let you know closer to the time. It won't be until March that I know when it's happening, because I'm producing it and publishing it myself, because it will be done very, very differently. And I didn't want it to go through a publisher because they diminish the value of what's going to be in it. And I want the magic kept in there.
Excellent.
I am
But
excited.
it will be available and it will be beautiful. And the ones that I'm taking to America will be, I can sign them all for you and it doesn't cost you extra. I'm just joking. But for you, Dev, yeah, I'll charge you extra. That's
Yeah,
okay.
sure. Everybody does. That's not at all uncommon in my world. So, yeah.
You know, I used to prowl through bookstores, especially in New York City, used books, looking for the crib notes written on the pages of certain occult books.
Oh, yeah.
And I got quite a collection. It's really something to, and I can imagine. I know a lot of people, especially certain authors, don't think it's a good thing to write in books, but I always have put little notes, little crib notes, and it's widened my experience of the book. Unless, of course, like Tamara is expressing or explaining a very beautiful art book that you wouldn't write in.
That sounds like a good coffee table book, too.
Yeah,
Good artwork.
coffee table kind of book. You don't.
Well, that's
write.
what the elders book is. And while I'm online, I'm going to invite all of you guys. Send me your emails, send me your things, send me your bios and photos, and I'd like to put you in my new elders book that I'm bringing out, which is Witch and Pagan Elders of the World, Present and Future. And some of them I call eldlings because they're young and they're still fighting and forging the way and all that sort of thing. So, you know, some of you could be an elder, some of you could be an eldling, some of you could be just rubbish. I don't care, but it's all right.
Well, you put us in it, you're going to limit the distribution, I would think, on that.
I've heard rumors about that. I've heard rumors.
Banned in at least 5 or 6 countries that I'm aware of. So, but yeah, you mentioned a good point. Being an elder is not a question of your age necessarily. I know people who've been practicing for 50 years that are simply terrible, and others who have are relatively new, who are very wise and clearly possess knowledge well beyond their age or beyond this realm. And those are the ones.
And I've met so many beautiful young men and women around the world that are, even within the clan, we've got our new elders of the future that are forging forward, that are taking responsibility and holding our communities together to become the future elders of the world. And that's exactly what I want more than anything. Before I leave this planet, even if I've got to whip them into shape, I'm going to do it.
That is excellent. That's my life mission as well. Fantastic. Harder said than done, but, you know, we try.
I have to say, I not to change the subject back to the book, but I'm going to. I love the fact that you're calling out that it's well illustrated. Does anybody remember the Time Life books? You know, the mysteries. And,
I love those.
I still have them.
The book on witchcraft. I will tell you, as a young child growing up, that is what brought me into, you know, the mysteries is, you know, going to those full color pictures, you know, and there was very little information here and there, but those pictures drew you in, you know, so that
They
you
really
would
did.
book. And I have to really say, I love that idea with the book on the Fae, that it's going to be well illustrated and capture everyone's attention so that they pay attention.
Absolutely.
So I just putting my glasses on to read the chats here. I can't read without them.
I've got to the point where I have to look over my glasses to read. So.
I've tried bifocals, trifocals. I just move them around, take them off, put them on. It's terrible, but what are you going to do?
I'm back and forth.
Of course, you have many other books, and you actually have your own publishing service as well, too.
That's correct. I publish a lot of my own books on purpose because I find a lot of the traditional publishers, even though you can't get your books into a lot of stores because they only go through traditional publishers and all that sort of thing. But then when you look at some of these traditional publishers, they don't give you anything. They don't pay you anything. They take your book, they rearrange it, they change it, they rip it to pieces, that it's not yours anymore. And my thing is with my books is that it's not just a book of words. It's a book of my feelings and emotions and what I think and what I feel. And it's a living text that I want to be out there. And I write books not to make money. I write books to educate and to help just share a little bit more information in the world, whether people want it or not. And I like the idea. And I'm very much looking at maybe helping to start up my own publishing company before I go to help other pagan writers and authors to be able to help them find the right contacts, because writing a book doesn't mean you're going to get a sale from it. And I've met so many authors around the world that go, oh, how come you sell so much and travel? And I go, well, because it's marketing. It's all about getting out there and doing that. At one point, my eldest book was on 250,000 websites around the world.
Wow.
And it's all about recognition. It's all about connecting and getting out there and doing the talks. And I meet a lot of people and I love it. And the funny thing is that I go and travel a lot and I do workshops and meet people, and I may not see them again for a few years, but then all of a sudden somebody will reach out to me and put a contact to me. And that's when I go, oh, wow, yes, I remember that person. And I always give little trinkets and gifts away that I bring from down under, from Australia, as a little memento for people as well, because I think sometimes when I find the right person in the right audience or the right crowd, it's just nice to give them something for their future destiny as well.
You know, a lot of what you're doing with publishing yourself, there was in like the 1980s going into the 90s, I can remember there was very few occult or pagan publishing companies. Llewellyn pops in mind first and foremost, I suppose, but Redwill and Weiser has always been there, and I won't say a bad thing against them, but you are correct, I think, with basically at my dances with some of these. Barron Company was an excellent publishing company, but then they sold out to Inner Traditions. And in the last 10 years, we have seen all these tiny little metaphysical Wicca publishing companies pop up, or goddess-oriented publishing companies pop up, because of just what you said, Tamara, because other publishers take your material and rearrange it however they think is going to be the best sale, and then do not put down any kind of energy towards putting it out there for people. They actually, I can remember how much Ted Andrews he started his own publishing company. He was prolific at writing, and he wrote some damn fine books. And he basically understood that he was being used and abused by the publishing company, and he started his own. And like you, he went out and traveled and took his books by box everywhere. A lot of authors have had to do that, had to figure that lesson out.
You know, one of the things that I think you prompted and reminded us, with all of these challenges come opportunities. On the one hand, the Christian theologists want to infect the schools with their religious doctrine. At the same time, I think the balance of that, the yin yang of that, is that it's going to make more atheists, more people who are going to search further outside the walls of traditional Protestant theology. And another thing that you said that really struck me, just so amusing. At one point, a person met me at a poetry gathering, and she said, you know, what you talk about meditation really makes a lot of sense. We're looking for a meditation teacher at my school. And I said, really? Well, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. So I go to her school, and she says, you know, you're just so dead on. You really have a nice clinical approach to this. And I said, well, you know, I have a lot of respect for so many schools of metaphysics. I said, the only thing that I find a little off-putting for myself is this whole Harry Potterization of metaphysics, because to my mind and to my studies, my friend, the whole Potter series is just not good metaphysics. It's just not. And she said, oh my God, we're all built on the Harry Potter theme. Well, maybe I'm not the instructor for you. Thank you. You brought us so much wonderful insight. An honor to meet you, Tamara.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is interesting with that. You talk about the Harry Potterization, of the drama. I'm sure it's brought quite a few in. However, in popularity comes those books and those authors that write for those major publishers that I someday want to be published, so I'm not going to knock it, but where are those authors? Where are those those that are put out as leaders of our community? We've talked to those who are doing the work here on our show, but there's so many that are just quiet. They work for the major publisher, and you don't hear from them when North Carolina and Appalachia is crying out, and you don't hear from them during crises to really pull people together. And there is a lot to be said for those who may be published by major authors, may be publishing themselves, but are actually out there doing the work.
And there are also many who are prolific authors who don't actually do any work and they just write, which is wonderful and fantastic and a great profession. But, that's one of the reasons we're doing this show, is to, get the real elders, whether they're published or have time to be so or not.
Are you talking about hacks?
No, I wouldn't say hacks. There's plenty of those too, but I'm saying those who prolific authors. You meet them at a festival or something, and they can't actually do anything. It's all academic writing. I'm also a professor, and they say those who can't do teach, and I will tell you that is not always untrue of many people who teach. Many of my own professors, I later went on to learn, had no experience whatsoever in the areas they were teaching. And that's fine, but if all you're learning is book learning and no practical application, that's a little bit of a problem.
That's true.
So it's important, when we have those with the real knowledge, to capture their learning and their teachings and their perspective on things. To me, that's the more important thing for the preservation of that sort of information.
Sharing
that wisdom.
Yep.
For sure. So before we leave, I just have one more reflection to kind of put out there for your thoughts, Tamara. But how do you feel, if you could answer that, how do you feel that modern practitioners can honor and preserve the traditions and the ancient wisdom that comes through those traditions?
That's a tricky question. For a start, stop talking shit. Stop talking rubbish. Just be honest, down to earth, straightforward. Connect with their past. Honor their traditions. Honor their mentors. Honor their teachers. If we can't honor our teachers that taught us, then we're not going anywhere. We're just going to be another student running amok without any guidance at all. There's so much wisdom in the past, and I think with the amount of millions of books being printed every day, they're just going to confuse more people. And I think we need to just go back to the old school books which had all the knowledge in, like the old Blue Book of Raymond that we were talking about before. It was a basic book. It was out there. It was understanding for everyone. And it was a book that Raymond Buckland wrote and was now the biggest seller in the world. And I just think that it's just such an incredibly easy book. And I think so many books these days are all these different titles that take you on different formats. And I think let's just go back to the basics. Stop all this airy-fairiness. We've got a way, and I know this is going to hit a lot of people, but I blame Gardner for this and Alexander's, that we've moved away from witchcraft. We've moved away from paganism so much into this airy-fairy new way by incorporating things from the Golden Dawn and the Kabbalah and all these different traditions that have no belonging in witchcraft. They don't belong in there. We don't have angels. We don't have things like this. We work with the basics of folk magic to do with the elements of the Fae, the other world, and connect with the three worlds together. I think that we all just need to, as my grandmother used to say, the greatest form of magic in the world is learning to shut up. And that way, only that way can we truly listen to what's happening and what's going on around us.
Yep.
We need to be more practical. People need to be able to get back in again and get their hands dirty. Stop talking about being greenies, become brownies, get dirtier, get right into the earth a bit more and reconnect with nature as much as we can. But we need to understand the fundamentals. None of us, humans have become lazy. They've become lazier and lazier with every generation. We're lazier than our parents. Our parents are lazier than their parents. And we become so lazy that we don't acknowledge our past. And I think we need to acknowledge everything about just the fundamental basis and build that groundedness and that base again and start from there. The more we can just connect with the very simplistic things, the more elevated and the more empowered we can become. The more rubbish that we put into it and make it detailed and all this, the less real it is. We've got to stop thinking about being a witch and we've got to start being a witch. If we keep saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you'll never do it, because the whole aspect of witchcraft is, as I say it, it is done. It's about doing it now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. If you're going to do it, stop talking rubbish, just get on with life and just do it as much as you can. Everybody these days talks and we don't listen. The problem is we've all wanting someone to hear us. We're all wanting someone to listen to us, but there's no one out there that will shut up long enough. And that's exactly the pain of the world the way it is. And I think we need to really connect. And this is what we're doing on our Discord community group by letting anybody come in now that can share and communicate and talk and listen. We have our health and well-being section, and me being a professional naturopathic doctor and all this sort of thing, that's what I've done all my life and taught people. I can help people with those sort of things, with remedies and mixtures and things like that. But we also have guidance counselors. We have people that are professional in different ways. And I think, as Melissa just said here, people talk as talk, do as do. And that's exactly what it is. We need to start doing instead of just talking. And people say, oh, I'm doing this magic, I'm doing this spell, I'm doing this. And I go, well, how do you prepare for it? Do you know how to cast a circle? How do you prepare a magic circle, which is the focal point for all the magic you're going to utilize? And people don't have a clue. And that's the one thing that I try to teach when I'm doing workshops around the world, is bring people back to the basics and to the reality of the natural energies before we can do witchcraft or magic.
And you can read, and you can study, but until you actually do, you're not doing anything. You need to get out there and manifest what you want to accomplish.
And help other authors too. When people buy books, if you like the book so much, go back in and give them a review.
Absolutely.
Because it's the reviews that make that author successful. If they don't have any reviews and people don't respond saying, well, I like this book, I hate this book, doesn't matter. It's just people need to know and be aware. And there's so many new people coming in now buying books left, right, and center, spending a fortune. And half of them are rubbish. Because people are not leaving reviews. If somebody looks at a book, go, oh, I like the look of that book, that cover looks really pretty, I might buy that book. And there's reviews saying, oh, it's a shit book, they don't know what they're talking about, it's a load of rubbish, it's plagiarized, whatever, then they won't buy it and waste their money. They'll look for a better book. And the more times that we can do something to honor those authors with their writings, the better newer people, greenies and seekers, will find good books to study and learn from.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. So I was looking to see if there was any questions in the feed.
Cool.
Sherry asked, do you think everyone can do both, or do you think most can do practical only? Not everyone can write. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what.
No. It's not about writing. It's about people say, look, people wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm a witch. Well, it doesn't work like that. It's like me waking up in the morning and saying, I'm a brain surgeon. It doesn't work like that. To me, to be a witch, it takes years of training to get to that level, to be a witch, of learning, of discipline and everything. What I'm saying is that we need to forget the airy-fairiness of modernization and go back to the practicality of folk magic, of just becoming part of nature again. So many people don't even know what nature is. How many people go out and walk through nature, or trees, or pat a flower, or talk to an animal, or do something along those lines? We've disconnected from nature. And if we're disconnected from nature, we're disconnected from magic, because magic is nature. And we've forgotten that. And the whole idea of the clan is to get rid of all the levels and degrees and ranks and levels of priests and high priests and things. You are just all seekers, and you're all learning, and you're all part of nature. And when you're part of nature, you become a part of the magic, which is nature. And that's the important fundamental. Practical. We need practical. We cannot be theoretical. If we're a witch in our head, we're not a witch in our heart or our soul. We can't just think we're something. We have to know that we're something. And that is the whole fundamental basis of what we're all about.
Fantastic.
You can lie to yourself and bullshit to everyone, but the fact is truth is always truth.
Yeah, and unfortunately in this age of social media, it's all about appearances, it's all about image, and not so much about the reality and the substance behind it. And if you focus entirely on your image and not on yourself and your heart and that substance, you're really not doing any service to yourself or anyone else.
No.
I heard an interesting story just yesterday. It seems there's a church in Switzerland where they've combined a holographic Jesus with an AI voice, and you can literally get your penance from the AI holographic Jesus.
Yeah.
And if that is in the antithesis of natural, I don't know what is.
Yes.
We are
The sad truth about the growth of spirituality is that in America last year, there were 175 churches, Christian churches, closing down. In Australia, there was 178. Different countries around the world, the churches are closing down because they're not growing with the times and changing. Paganism has grown with the times, but we need to go back to the beginning and incorporate that into our daily lives of the 21st century.
And now more than ever, because we really need to get back in touch with nature, we really need to get back in touch with our ancient pagan roots. Our ancient ancestors walked in harmony and flow with the earth and with the spirit realm, and we have lost that. Many of us have lost that. Most of us have lost that. And if we don't get back in touch with it, I fear what the world will become.
The one thing I have as a plaque above my door to my temple, my home, is that if I am indeed wise, I do not bid you enter the house of my wisdom, but rather lead you to the threshold of your own mind.
Very nice.
That's beautiful. I'd like to thank you, Tamara, for joining us, and thank
you
all
for
of our
having me.
viewers for joining us for this amazing exploration of pagan history, but also looking toward the future of witchcraft in Australia, around the world, and here in the United States. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for having me, everybody. Love you being here, and I hope to have contact with you all again soon. And send me your emails to my email if you can, because I won't get it otherwise. If you haven't got my email, get it from Jim, and then we can keep in contact and maybe get your bios and put you into my new book as well.
And I'm only an hour away from Buckland Museum, so I can't wait.
Well, I'll be there in July, so that'll be after Starwood.
We sure
Well,
will
Tamara, next time you're here, I look forward to hopefully meeting you live and in person finally.
That'd be
It's
lovely.
been a
Sit
pleasure.
down. We won't invite Melissa because she doesn't share it with a wine. We'll drink wine between us.
Well, maybe now's the time, and I'll bring plenty of wine. Don't worry about that. Some mead, too. You have great local mead around here. I'll bring, too.
Great. I love a good mead.
Yep.
Very good.
But thank you very much for having me, everyone. Lovely meeting you all. And thank you to all the viewers and everybody out there. I just hope you've enjoyed that. And if you wish to reach out, please reach out. If I can just help you in any way, remember, I'm always there in service of our community. Blessed be, everyone.
Thank you. Blessed
Blessed
be.
be.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Echoes of the Old Ways. We'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night.